everybody's at the coffee machine, so I was going to be at the coffee machine, and you're all sitting down. Welcome, Cowboy Up Ministry. How you like for the new year? Can you believe it's January and we're in short-sleeve shirts? Woo! I think about Thursday it's supposed to get cold again. We want to welcome you, Cowboy Up Ministry. Do we have anyone that's brand new, first time here? We're going to have a class online, I'm telling you. Well, if you don't like it, come back next week. It'll be totally different, I promise. But we want to welcome all of you here. How did you find out about us? Read about us. All right. Good. We spent $70 advertising on Facebook. I want to see if we get any feedback from it. Got 110 new likes. So as long as people like us, we're okay. All right, we got a lot going on today. We're going to have some fun, and I hope that maybe you get involved in it. We're going to pray. We're going to sing happy birthday. We're going to do announcements. We're going to watch a horse demonstration, and we're going to do some other stuff too. Let's pray. Father God, we thank you for this beautiful weather. We thank you for the opportunity to come out in your nature and witness your creation, your animals, and how it can relate to you. Lord, you came to earth and you used illustrations all the time, and we thank you for that you painted a picture that we could follow. And Lord, I pray today that we paint a picture that people can see that change happens when you enter our life. And we thank you in advance for what you're going to do. In Jesus' name, amen. How many birthdays do we have in January? Oh, how many do we have today? Where is he? Where he is. I was looking for him. David Craze today. Where's our happy birthday? Here comes our happy birthday. For those of you who don't get here early, when I did my sound check this morning, I sang. Yeah, I'll teach you to come early. What is it? Happy birthday, God bless you. All right, lead us.
All right, y'all sing with me. I'm feeling a little rusty. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, God bless you. Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday, happy new year. This is going to be a great year. I'm praying that it's the best year of your life. I feel sure that it's going to be the best year of Cowboy Up Ministry. In about March, we're going to be 8 years old. But today, Cowboy Up Ministry at the fairgrounds is 1 year old. 1 year old today. We started the first Sunday last January. We're going to celebrate on the 18th. We got Paul Daly, Wild Horse Ministries. We're doing a big barbecue. We're going to call it our homecoming. We actually, those of you who don't know, we were in Hardee County for about 6 years. And I'm going to see if I can't get them guys to drive over for one Sunday, just so you can meet who we used to be with. But we want to thank all of you for coming. Miss Kathy, my wife back there, do you have some announcements?
Good morning. Okay, I need everybody to look around at all those empty chairs. We need some folks to fill those chairs. I am so thankful that you're here today, and if you would just invite somebody, let's get these chairs filled, because God's got some great things for us this coming year. So I don't want anybody to miss out. If you look around, see somebody missing that usually is here, give them a call. They might be sick. They might need lifting up or encouragement or something like that. So help us out there to keep up with the folks that are part of our ministry here. Anybody not get a flyer this morning? Should be plenty of them out there. All right, on the back of that flyer is a lot of announcements. All of our classes are back up and going this week, right?
Yes.
All right, so check all the back of that. We got women's meetings, men's meetings. Wednesday Wednesday night Bible study, all kinds of things that you can work on there to help you throughout the week. So check that out. He's already told you about Paul Daly. Miss Deb needs the yearlings. If they're ready, they can go with her this morning. She's got some stuff for them to do. For Children's Church, you may go with Miss Deb. She'll be walking that way. Follow her there. Next week, we'll be taking pictures for our church directory. Miss Karen Knotts and Miss Penny Martin are helping us with that. So if you can help us out with that, we would appreciate that, so we can start putting names and faces together. And we've got baptisms today after church. Are we doing baptisms next week too?
Those got put up to the day.
It's up to, okay, that's what I thought.
If somebody wants to, we will. We have warm water. We just have to know ahead of time so we can make warm water. For all of you back here, you're going to have to look at this side or the wind will be in my microphone.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting today. So, pray for me. Did he pose while I wasn't looking? Really?
It's what cowboys do.
No comment. Okay. I think that's all I've got now that I can't focus. But anyway, you've got some books to give out up there.
Is Michael Bryant here? Michael Bryant? Okay, I know Kimberly's still out of town. I guess Michael is too. So we will have some baptisms after church. And, you know, if you stick around for that, it'll take us a few minutes to change clothes and get ready. And it'll be right over here at our new baptistry. You're welcome to stay and witness that. So today, let me go over here and get the other microphone. You get to introduce yourself and your horse and tell us where you've come from.
I'm Tammy, and this is Cherokee Sky. I adopted her a little over a year and a half ago from RVR. Wild child, to say the least. She was a bolter. She was very afraid of everything, anyone. Her history was tied up behind an old man's trailer for the first 3 years of her life with no socialization whatsoever. I fell in love with her face. I adopted her, and I had no clue what I was getting into.
But she was pretty.
But she sure was pretty. I tried working with her myself. I tried using 2 trainers once a week for over a year. It didn't help. I made a change when RVR was having their dedication to the new barn. Ribbon cutting was there. And she was in the parade of horses, and she had lost her mind. She almost ran over 3 or 4 people in front of her. For whatever reason, I was able to hold on to her. Finally got her into a stall. Skipper put his arms around me and said, "You think you got a problem?" And I said, "You think?" So 2 weekends later, I brought her here. He worked with her, and we made a bet, and I lost. Then he sent me home with homework. I came back. I think I did fairly well. And in the meantime, I was trying to get a trainer. I couldn't do it. People that I was working with couldn't do it. So I had contacted Tanya very early on. But it was way too expensive, so I could do it on my own. And Tanya just so happened to be here at church. And she said, "If you're ready," somebody else backed out, "I can take her." I said, "Load her up on Mother's Day, let's go." And that's where she's been since then. She's come a long way.
Do any of you remember her being here the first time? Yes. I got to tell you, this is the longest I've ever seen this horse be still. I mean, when it was here in the beginning, there was no be still in its vocabulary. So she's here today to kind of tell us where she's been and show us where she's at today and the changes that she's made. And one of the things that I'd like for you to address, we talked about it a little bit, is your mindset about what horses need.
My mindset in the beginning was they don't need nothing. You know, I get on them and I ride them. My mindset after being thrown off and having to have 2 nerve blocks, and then thrown off and having to have 7 stitches in my head, my mindset went, she needs something that I don't have. And that was leadership and direction. And with Tanya, that's where we started. That she needed a leader. And I thought I was a leader, but I wasn't. I wasn't the leader that she needed. Is she the horse for me? Probably not. But when we're done, it's going to be a heck of a journey, and she's going to be a phenomenal horse. But it takes time, dedication, patience, tutoring, bumps, scratches, bruises, stitches, you know.
How would you describe your relationship with your horse a year ago and then again today?
I hated her.
But she was pretty.
I hated her. I was disgusted. I was ready to give up. And the Last Chance Ranch came along. It was Tanya, Double T. And she was able to provide Sky as well as myself the tools, you know, to show that she can be a better horse. She didn't know anything. I was always used to having a horse I could get on, lay down on, jump off of. This was something I was never accustomed to. And Tanya's way of training, not only Sky, but me, has just been phenomenal. And if I keep up with the directions and the guidance, it's going to be pretty good.
You know, it's just a testimony that this horse is just standing still, because this is not a couch potato. You know, we have horses come in, they're either couch potato or a crackhead. That's a crackhead. She's got a little bit of brain damage that she'll never get over, but they've come a long way. So we're going to give your coach the microphone. She didn't know that. Yeah, so she had no idea I was going to do that. So you can coach your student here and just show us what you can do now that you could not even come close to doing a year ago. Of course, she probably couldn't get her in the trailer a year ago. So, talk to us.
Oh, Skipper.
Yeah, I didn't give Tanya Scott. She boards horses, trains horses, does the mounted shooting practice, and this is where Sky is at. And just tell us a little bit about how Tammy and his horse has changed over the last few months.
Well, when Tammy and Sky first got there, I told Tammy that I needed a commitment from her in order to get Sky where she needed to be. I don't look at any horse as being a complete disaster. Usually there's no bad horses, it's just bad interaction with the human, the wrong direction. So we started on the travels, and Tammy was very open and willing. She had lots and lots of questions of things that she had heard. She'd been led a lot of paths, and none of them got her where she needed to go. So I let her ask all the questions she wanted. There was no stupid questions, because she'd ask me, she says, I got a really stupid question. It's like, there's no stupid questions. But Sky was all full of tension because everybody had told her what to do, and she thought she was doing the right thing, and there was never a release. There was never, yes, that's the right thing. Each Sky what yes and no was, so she would understand. We also had to teach Tammy what those things were. Normally the human is always harder to teach than the horse.
Oh, is that true?
But she's given a really good effort, and that's the reason that her horse is doing as well as she is. Sky's made a terrific turnaround, and it's just positive leadership, and not always focusing on the negative things. Everybody in the whole world seems to focus on all the negativity in the world, and trainers, a lot of them tend to do the same thing. They're quick to punish a horse, but they're not quick to reward a horse. And I find that we get a lot more out of the rewards.
You know, I made a few notes of how I would describe Sky when I first met her. And that was, she was very sensitive to her surroundings. That's a polite way of saying she was scared of everything but people.
And she was scared of people too. She was afraid of a lot of movements. Tammy would have never even been able to get 20 feet from her with this umbrella before. Now she can open it, close it, put it over her head. The tarp, she steps on it, walks over, paws it. We've put it over her back. She had a huge problem, and Skipper, you'll remember this, of things being over her head like this. Skipper helped us out with that problem. We were kind of at our rope, end of our rope, and looking for some other suggestions. And this is why it's always good to have go-to people and mentors that are more knowledgeable than you are. So we call Skipper up, and it's like, okay, Skipper, here's what we've done. What kind of suggestion do you have? Tammy, why don't you go over there and get his little creation?
Actually, in my defense, I'm not that smart, but I am very creative.
Creative is good. Creative is good.
You know, I will look at something else to get the job done. If I remember correctly, it would not walk under the tarp.
Right.
It would not drop its head to go under the tarp. So we make that. That's the same tarp we made.
Yes. It's been patched up and taped up several times.
So I came up with the idea, if we couldn't make the horse go under the tarp, we'd make the tarp go over the horse, and I started at its withers and went forward.
See how she dropped her head?
And this is actually the way we did the very first day. And when you do it, they will begin to drop their head. And it's just a step-by-step process. But, you know, I'm a believer. And if something's not working, back up a step some way.
Absolutely.
If you can't do a big tarp, if you can't go from front to back, go from back to front.
Yep.
Just try something different. And it just happened to work for her that day.
Well, it was a step in the right direction, the baby steps, which led to being able to walk her under tarps. So it did make a big difference.
One of the things that I thought of her when I first met her was she was unsure of herself and others.
Very insecure.
Which made her feel like she had to be in charge by keeping distance from anything she was unsure of. You know, they have that flight or fight, and she just wanted to be gone.
The wind's got her a little spooked, but she's all right. I mean, she's nowhere near perfect, but Tammy has a lot of tools now that she can use, and she doesn't get so frustrated. So, and then Sky understands.
I think sometimes people get so caught up in, I'm going to get my horse over this fear. And right now her fear is something over her head, such as a tarp. My question is there something you're scared of? And how well are you getting over your fear?
Well, you're doing it to me right now.
That's why I didn't give you a notice.
Yeah, I figured that was coming.
If we want on ourselves, and it kind of keeps us real with our animals.
Yeah, I've never been one to be in the foreground. I've always liked kind of staying in the background. Skipper seems to have a problem with me being there.
Just trying to help you there. You know, for a lot of people, you might look at this and say, well, what's so special about this? Well, you didn't see her 8 months ago. You know, this little fence wasn't high enough 8 months ago.
I laughed about that when I got here, and I'm thinking, yeah, last year this would have never happened.
No.
I'm also back here sitting and watching and thinking, this is such a wow on a horse that was afraid of everything, including a few minutes ago when something in the parking lot was scaring her. Before, she would have just run over Tammy. And this time, she looked both ways to make sure she knew where Tammy was.
Debbie, do you have a Bible verse? This is a fill in the blank on your paper.
I do. Let's go to 2 Timothy 2, verses 15 and 16. Do your best to present yourself to God as one approved, a workman who does not need to be ashamed, and who correctly handles the word of truth.
You know, the key word there is best. You know, are we doing our best with our animals, or are we just feeding them and petting them? Are we doing our best with God? You know, there's one thing about just getting by. When you add that word best, are you doing the best you can? Is pretty important for 2015. We're going to strive to do our best in 15. You know, I'm just Tanya, how would you describe the change that each one of them separately has made? Whichever one you want to start with.
Well, with Sky, she's began to learn that it's okay to trust humans, and that her human is worthy of leadership, of her respect. And with Tammy, I think she has kind of come to realize that you have to treat your horse with respect as well. And I think that she has presented herself as an adequate leader in Sky's eye. And I think that Tammy has begun to learn what that leadership entails, the responsibility that comes along with it.
And there is a huge responsibility to take over leadership of an animal. You know, you have to earn their respect, you have to earn their trust. And, you know, this horse didn't like that. However, she allowed it. And that's good.
Yeah, Tammy had a list when she brought her to me in May. 16 things that Sky didn't like or Sky would not do. And I gave her that list back the other day. I went back in the file and I pulled it out. And I said, if you think you haven't been very far in all this time, take a look at this list. And she went through it, and I think that everything on the list now she has accomplished. Some better than others, but she can accomplish it. And she also has the tools and the skills now. She also has the tools and the skills that when she does run into a problem, that she knows what she needs to do to correct the problem. One of the things with Tammy staying there is that when she does choose to sprout her wings and fly, is I will have the confidence that she can handle situations as they come up. And that's what I'm trying to teach her, and that she can also teach Sky to have the confidence in her, to look to her for that leadership whenever she's fearful of something.
And I think, Tanya, one of the important things about all this is this doesn't happen overnight, and it doesn't happen without a huge commitment to doing what's necessary to get there.
Absolutely.
And in so many cases, we don't know what we don't know. If you were not around somebody that knew more than you did about horses, we just guess. And most of the time we guess wrong. And that's the way it is with God. Unless someone teaches us about God. Unless we read the Bible and get some study, we can get a pretty crazy worldview about God.